Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tim's News Explosion on this Easter Monday, April Fool's Day, the 1st of April 2024, though sadly the news I bring you tonight is no joke, though it's hard to tell the difference on days like today, whether something is true because we live in such insane clown world times or it is a joke. Now, not a joke. Yesterday, Easter Sunday, was also Transgender Day of Visibility because, you know, they are not visible enough at the moment, trans people. Tomorrow is Cash Out Tuesday, where Australians are being urged to withdraw $20 cash from the ATMs to take a stand against the growing the growing disappearing of cash, and so that to make a protest against the coming central bank digital currencies and digital ID, which passed the Australian Senate last week. We are live on the Wilms Front YouTube channel, the Wilms Front Odyssey channel, and the Wilms Front Rumble channel. It is 9 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where a manhunt is underway by Victoria Police, not for a home invader or a carjacker, but for the perpetrator of a drive-by racist attack, as it's been termed, outside Eddie Betts's Glen Iris home on Thursday night, when his children and a couple of other children were playing basketball in their backyard. Eddie Betts uploaded to his Instagram what looks like Google Home security footage of this drive-by.
Oh, nigga! Nigga, nigga, nigga! Oh, nigga! Nigga, nigga, nigga! Who is that? Satan!
Now, clearly there's something wrong with that driver to just scream out the N-word repeatedly, but calling this an attack, a verbal assault. Now, I don't know if that driver knew that was Eddie Betts' home and thought it'd be funny to drive past and yell that, but it's been spoken about in the media non-stop because, of course, the AFL loves to, well, and the AFL media love to reiterate their stand against racism, and the AFL, even though Eddie Betts is an ex-player now, he's a commentator on Fox Footy and also an author of children's books about my people, my kind. So this was the statement from the AFL from CEO Andrew Dillon and Tanya Hoch. I don't know who she is. Once again, we find ourselves in a position where we must express our strongest condemnation against another example of overt racism, this time targeting children playing sport in their own front yard. We acknowledge the leadership of Eddie Betts for bringing this to national attention. Racism is wrong. Racism is harmful. Racism requires a response. The AFL takes this opportunity to remind everyone at all levels of the game that racist behavior is never welcome anywhere. We invite everyone to follow Eddie's example in calling out racism when you hear, read, or see it. We invite everyone to report racism wherever possible. The AFL wish to express our love and best wishes for the healing for the children and families who were subject to the racist abuse shared in the video last night. We wish to stand with Eddie and his family and thank him for bringing this disturbing behavior to our attention. We must not look away. Rather, we must stand together to play our part to reduce racism. The AFL this morning has reached out to the Betts family to offer support. And before Eddie Betts, well, when he joined the Fox Footy commentary team before the Saturday night football game between, it was playing again. I've forgotten. It was between Port Adelaide and Melbourne. That was it. Eddie Betts made a statement about, well, how traumatic it has been, that drive-by racist attack on his family and children.
You know, a crappy start with what happened at my house, but yeah, it was to see that someone actually got out of their car and at 8:40 at night to drive to my house and yell abuse at my kids over the fence. I think this one hits a lot harder than all the racial abuse that I've had over my years, and that's because it's directed at my kids with such hatred. And you know, the kids are fine now. They were shaken up a bit. They're too scared to go out and play basketball that night. But yeah, it was really, really tough and hard to see. And I'm glad that I brought awareness to this, because if I didn't, you wouldn't have known what happened. And this continues to happen to Aboriginal people all over the country, and we just got to keep calling it out. And it is, you know, exhausting. And I've called this out many, many times, and I will still stand here in front of everybody and put my face to it and stand out and call it out and educate and continue to educate, because we need to stamp out racism here in Australia altogether, because it does hurt. And I just want you to know, the people who have done this and who have drove past my house to yell abuse at my kids, that it is hurtful, and this will stick for them for the rest of their lives and the rest of my life. But you know, the only place that I would ever want my kids to feel safe is at home, and they can't even feel safe at home. So it has been a tough week, but I just want to thank the community, the footy community, for their support and showing their love. We've got your messages, and it means so much to hear your support, and it helps us so much. And as a family, we'll continue to stick together. And like I said, I'll continue to stand here before everybody and continue to educate. That's the only way we're going to move forward with education. That's the only way we're going to educate people. And it's to everyone at home. If you're watching this, please have conversations with your kids, your families, your friends. Have those uncomfortable conversations, because that's the only way, like I said, that we're going to move forward in this nation.
Now, Eddie Betts has been a race grievance campaigner since way back in 2016, when he was playing for Adelaide. He's played for Adelaide and Carlton. During one of the showdowns, a Port Adelaide supporter threw a banana at him out on the field, and this was interpreted as a racist attack, because implying that because he's Aboriginal, he looks like a monkey, and so he needs a banana. And then he came out first post-retirement saying that, because he eventually went back to Carlton, he said that an Adelaide pre-season training camp was not culturally sensitive to Aboriginal people. And hello, Brucey there. Great to see you. Then when the fake racism allegations came out against North Melbourne coach Alistair Clarkson and Brisbane Lions coach Chris Fagan when they were at Hawthorn by unnamed ex-Indigenous players, who it was later revealed one of the lead complainants was ex-player Indigenous player Cyril Rioli, who quit Hawthorn because his wife thought that Jeff Kennett's joke about her needing money to get her ripped jeans fixed was somehow racist. So Eddie Betts claimed that in the aftermath, I think this was on a Fox Footy segment, he claimed that a lifeguard told him to leave a pool because an elderly white couple made a complaint. Well, it keeps happening. We have grown up with this stuff, he said. It's just not in the AFL. It's all of these systems. I find myself being followed by security guards in the shop. This year alone, I was at a pool and the lifeguard came up to me and told me that I had to get out of the pool. I was holding my kid, my baby, in my hand, and my two twins were swimming around, and I found two elderly white couple told the lifeguard to get me out of the pool because I was making their grandchild uncomfortable. This just made me feel like I don't belong here in Australia because these issues keep occurring that I keep facing, that all Aboriginal people keep facing here in Australia. And I honestly feel like I don't belong here, but my wife keeps driving into me, keeps telling me that out of anyone, you should feel like you belong here because this is your country and you should never feel like that. Now, as you can see, if you're a viewer, Eddie Betts married a blonde white lady, and you can see that his children, they look more white than Aboriginal. And him saying that his kids don't feel safe in their own home. Well, I think the people who are subjected to home invasions and carjackings, they don't feel safe in their own home. They obviously, it's more frightening to have violent criminals come into your home and potentially your life being threatened. Now, I don't know if this was ever followed up, whether this supposed racist incident was got to the bottom of. But yes, yeah, Eddie Betts, he's been at this for a number of years, and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on grand final day posted a selfie with Eddie Betts saying he's voting yes to the Voice, so you should. Remember, that was part of Albanese's Voice strategy, all the celebrities. Now, if we'd passed the Aboriginal voice referendum and had the constitutionally enshrined voice, then I guess this racist attack on Eddie Betts's children would not have happened, and Alice Springs would be one of the safest towns in Australia, not the most dangerous, and it reached a new the violence and crime in Alice Spring reached a new level of lawlessness, fear in the city. So last Tuesday, there was a funeral in the Alice Springs CBD for an 18-year-old Indigenous man who was killed. He was a passenger. A bunch of youths stole a ute, and the driver crashed it, killed him, and the rest of the passengers and the driver fled the scene, left their mate to die. So the funeral was in the Alice Springs CBD, and what happened is that other members of the family were in the Todd Tavern, which is a pub in Alice Springs, and the family attending the funeral weren't on good terms with the family that was in the Todd Tavern, and so the members of this Aboriginal family, of that part of the Aboriginal family, approached the pub trying to exact payback, which is an Aboriginal traditional Aboriginal traditional cultural term for settling a grievance through, it seems, violence. So this wasn't white on black. This was black on black. And some of the riot footage, there was 200 involved in the Alice Springs CBD. There was only 8 arrests made afterwards. 50 weapons were seized. This was some of the rioters trying to break into the pub.
Taking 20-metre jumps and jumping in the glass trying to smash it. Oh, she's got a brick! Oh, fucking hell. It's escalated big time. They've smashed through one door already. Mate, they take.
So in response, the Northern Territory Chief Minister, Eva Lawler, the third Labor Northern Territory Chief Minister in 2 years. You remember that during the COVID lockdown years, the Premier was Crazy Eyes Michael Gunner. Then he quit in early 2022 to spend more time with his family. Then Natasha Files, she took over, and that it was her government that dismantled the alcohol restrictions in remote parts of the Northern Territory, including Alice Springs. And so as a result, in Alice Springs, outside all the liquor stores, are these police auxiliary liquor inspectors. And so if anyone watched Spanion's video in Alice Springs, Australia's most dangerous city, so that's nearly got 3 million views. Of course, Spanion's that ex-criminal rapper who, you remember, he got his book deal cancelled for saying that pedophiles were hiding behind the rainbow flag. Then he said he was sorry for absolutely fucking nothing. So he travels around on his YouTube channel, traveling to Australia's most dangerous towns, cities, suburbs, and he's also gone international as well. And so the Alice Springs ones nearly has 3 million views. Goes for an hour. So he arrives on a Saturday. He's got 2 local escorts, one white fella and one black fella. And so because he's with them, and he's obviously got a camera with him, when he goes to the town camps, they're very friendly to him than if he just turned up just with a camera himself. And was well known in that town, like a lot of them spotted him. But he went to Alice Springs during day and during night. They went the Aboriginal guy, he lived in one of the town camps where you're not allowed to buy alcohol, and they went through a drive-by liquor store, and these alcohol cops, the police auxiliary liquor inspectors, it's a bit of a mouthful, so they ask, why are you buying alcohol? Are you going to share it with everyone else? And of course, that's completely foreign to us here in normal Australia. Bruce Kibbe says the white guy in that video straight up slandered Zachary Rolfe and called him a murderer, even though he was found not guilty. Exactly. Oh, well, they're still calling Zachary Rolfe a racist. There was a under investigation with Liz Hayes, which I normally just watched it on YouTube. I don't think it's been uploaded yet, but basically the promo says that, did Zachary Rolfe get away with murder? So it sounds really one-sided there. So in response to this riot, so there was 200 involved in the riot in the CBD. Then it later in the day went to into the night in one of these town camps, which is obviously it's all government housing, which we're all paying for, called Hidden Valley. There was 150 people involved, weapons, things set on fire. So Chief Minister Eva Eva Lawler, her solution for during the school holidays is a youth curfew for under 18s between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., which gives me, as a Victorian, lockdown PTSD, because we all remember living through Dan Andrews' curfew, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And also it's termed a circuit breaker, though it could be extended. I remember when Dan Andrews called our lockdown circuit breakers, though only for a week, but then they lasted 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, 2 months, 3 months. But obviously, Alice Springs, it's not an ordinary Australian town. I mean, it's basic, like those town camps, basically, it is people are hardly anyone's working. It's just a complete vicious cycle there. But again, the voice could have the voice would have cured all of this. Now, Brucey says about Eddie Betts, going back to Eddie Betts, doesn't he live in South Australia? SA has their own voice, so how did that happen? Well, Eddie Betts, he's back in Melbourne now. He lives at the suburb of Glen Iris, which is a very wealthy suburb. So for a racism victim, he's doing pretty well for himself and got plum gig on Fox Footy and as his books as well. Supports 5 children, so he's doing pretty well. If he can live in Glen Iris, there'd probably be and if they have their own basketball court, I mean, that house is probably worth several million. But Brucey, you are right that well, like Victoria, South Australia has its own voice. So Victoria has its First Peoples Assembly, and South Australia just had its election for its voice to Parliament, where only 10% of eligible voters, because it's a racist role, only electors with Aboriginal ancestry in them or claim. So approximately 30,000 are eligible to vote, according to the Electoral Commission of South Australia, but only 2,619 voted for the 46-member South Australian First Nations Voice to Parliament election. And this was for 46 people, and then they narrow it down to 12 for a voice to the South Australian Parliament itself. South Australia recorded 64% no at the voice referendum. And this, of course, is costing the South Australian taxpayers here. So going down further in this Sky News article, so the state government has allocated 10 million over 4 years to a voice to Parliament, including 6 million to establish and support ongoing operations, and 4.2 million to conduct the first 2 elections. Premier Peter Malinauskas had previously rejected suggestions the state Indigenous body had lost support in the wake of the failed referendum in October, and he claimed what we're doing here is fundamentally different to what was proposed at a federal level in the form of a referendum. So I've heard one of the pro constitutional voice people saying that Aboriginals aren't interested because they wanted the constitutionally enshrined voice, so they don't see this as good as one in the Constitution. Now, the one in Victoria is supposed to negotiate a treaty on behalf of First Nations people with the rest of the people of Victoria. We don't get a say on the treaty, only it seems that Indigenous groups do. But I wonder if the treaty's ever signed here in Victoria, that's the end of the gravy train there. Now, going on to the last week in Parliament before the budget, and the digital ID bill passed the Senate. And so this was Katie Gallagher celebrating on her social media with the emoji there. The Albanese Labor government is making it easier, simpler, and more secure for you to access government services online. Now, even though the legislation was drafted when Scott Morrison was Prime Minister, the coalition in government, they decided to, well, now that they're in opposition, decided to make a stand against it. Though there were a number of coalition senators who didn't turn up for the vote, such as Simon Birmingham, Liberal Senate leader, Sarah Henderson, Liberal senator, James Patterson, Shadow Home Affairs Minister, Bridget McKenzie, a National Party senator, Dave Sharma didn't show up. Though David Pocock, obviously the Greens voted yes, and so did the Jackie Lambie network. Did she say it's part of being a bloody Australian to have a digital ID? So Jackie Lambie voted yes, so did her now ex-Jackie Lambie network Senator Tammy Tyrrell, who dropped on Easter Thursday that Jackie Lambie had told her to quit the Jackie Lambie network. And so is despite the Jackie Lambie network winning at least 2 seats in the just passed Tasmanian state election, it seems it's already disintegrating. And even though the Tasmanian Liberals said they would pass legislation if they were re-elected to make illegal party defecting, they might now be tempted to pick off the Jackie Lambie network members one by one, because it's not a party, it's a network. And so they don't necessarily have to do what Jackie Lambie wants them to do, though it seems that Tammy Tyrrell didn't do something that Jackie Lambie didn't like, and Tammy Tyrrell is there until 30th of June 2028, same as Lydia Thorpe. So we've got 2 independent senators who were elected only less than 2 years ago, who are there for another 4 years. Now, this was Katie Gallagher. Remember, she is the meanest of the mean girls who bullied the late Labor Senator Kimberly Kitching, along with Penny Wong, the Foreign Minister, and the ex-Labor Senator Christina Keneally. Australia is a step closer to a national economy-wide digital ID system, with legislation today passing the Senate. Digital ID is a secure, convenient, and voluntary way to verify who you are without having to repeatedly share your most sensitive documents, such as passport, birth certificate, driver's license. More than 10.5 million Australians have already created an account with the federal government's digital ID system, MyGov ID, to access more than 130 government services. How many? 130? We've got that many services. No wonder we're in so much debt. The Digital ID Bill 2023 is putting in place the legislative framework for the phased expansion of the Australian government's digital ID system to include state and territory government services in the private sector. So you may need your digital ID to open up a bank account or open up utility, mobile phone, and that it could be rolled into your credit history, and then could be your social media history. If you've had anything cancelled for, such as a bank account closed for wrongthink on social media. The bill strengthens privacy and security safeguards and provides stronger regulation and governance of digital ID services. The Minister for Finance, Katie Gallagher, said data breaches such as Optus and Medibank have shown how important it is for Australians to keep Australians safe online. Yeah, because the government, they of course have a history of keeping citizens' data safe. I mean, we've constantly heard of the cyber attacks Digital ID makes it safer and easier for Australians to prove who they are online. Australians will be sharing less personal information, except your personal information has got to be all fit in for the digital ID, which is held by fewer organisations that are subject to stronger regulation, reducing the chance of online identity theft. The coalition started this work while in government, but in classic style, didn't finish the job. It's the Albanese government delivering a scheme which is safe, voluntary, and will protect Australians in an increasingly online world. Yes, safe. The digital ID bill ensures the digital IDs are voluntary for individuals accessing government services. For now, all Australian government agencies must have an alternative way for individuals accessing government services. For individuals and the community, digital ID can provide safe, secure, convenient, reusable way to verify their ID online if they choose. Make it easy to access government and business services at home without having trouble shop front or make a phone call to verify their ID. Enhance privacy and reduce collection of personal information. Except it's all in one hub stored by the government, by government and private services, reducing the impacts of any data breaches that may occur. Reduce the need to remember many different usernames and passwords for different services, providing a reusable digital ID can be used instead. Yes, you just need the one username and passport that maybe hackers could get access to. Digital ID is just one of the ways the government is responding to the interests of third-party data breaches alongside the National Strategy on Identity Resilience, funding for the ACCC's National Anti-Scam Centre, the introduction of Identity Verification Services Act 2023, continued reforms to the Privacy Act and the government cybersecurity strategy. The digitalised system has gone extensive consultation over many years, including during the coalition's time in government, as well as the Select Economics Committee legislation last year, where the committee recommended the bill be passed. Now, also on the Albanese government's agenda is the anti-doxing bill, which, according to the definition on the Attorney General Mark Dreyfus's website, there is currently a public consultation on it. Because remember, this is they want to make doxing illegal or have a they want to make the malicious publication, what's termed as malicious. Doxing can refer to de-anonymized doxing, revealing the identity of someone who previously anonymous, for example, someone who uses a pseudonym. So are they wanting to protect the PR guy 17, Slack Bastard, White Rose Society? Is it going to be illegal to dox or find out their actual identities? Well, are they going to still be allowed to dox all of us? Targeted doxing, revealing specific information about someone that allows them to be contacted or located, or online security to be breached. Delegitimized doxing, revealing sensitive or intimate information about someone that can damage their credibility or reputation. For example, their private, medical, legal, or financial records or personal messaging and photos usually kept out of public view. So if someone's lying and you post a message to say, look, this proves that they're a liar, that can apparently be doxing. And so the Australian government has a multi-pronged approach to doxing, working to raise awareness of doxing. Australians have informed about the issue and steps they can, if they experience doxing, supporting Australian children who are victims of doxing through legislated cyberbullying scheme, helping adults as part of the adult cyber abuse scheme, working with social media services on serious cases to have content removed using existing relationship and escalation pathways, supporting industry through Safety by Design initiative, guiding them on developing, implementing policy systems, preventing and responding to doxing on their platforms, referring victims to law enforcement agencies where there are immediate risk of violence or serious physical harm, recognizing that doxing behavior in certain circumstances could constitute an offence under the Criminal Code, acknowledging that it may be a breach of the Australian privacy principles if an entity covered by the Privacy Act engaged in doxing. Here are the proposed reforms: a new statutory tort for serious invasion of privacy that allow individuals to seek redress through the courts if fallen victim to doxing, give individuals greater control and transparency over their personal information, including the introduction of new or strengthened individual rights to access, object, erase, correct, de-index their personal information, and progressing the Privacy reform proposals contained on the Privacy Act review that bring the Privacy Act into the digital age, uplifting protection, raise awareness of obligations for responsible personal information and handling. Brucey says, I have to give the government all of my information of everything I do, but I'm not allowed to spread publicly available information. This country is ridiculous. I mean, it's certainly, well, they said it wouldn't be easy under Albanese. It's certainly a lot less free under Albanese, though one of the most mad power tripping bureaucrats was actually reappointed in the last days of the Morrison government. That is the e-safety commissioner, Julie Inman Grant. Remember her? So this is an article I wrote back in mid 2023. So the main target of the powers that she is able to wield under the Online Safety Act 2021 is a former employer, Twitter, now X. So because they didn't get back to her to explain to her how they're implementing online safety expectations, she's fining them $687,000 a day for non-compliance, and is going to issue the fine to any Twitter X employee who arrives in Australia. So she's been a regular attendee at the World Economic Forum conferences in Davos, serves on their Global Coalition for Digital Safety. Last year in Davos, she spoke about the need for recalibration of rights, needing to balance the right to free speech with the freedom to be safe from online violence, whatever that term means. And she also, in an interview with ABC News Breakfast, singled out Twitter. A third of all complaints to her office of online hate coming from Twitter since Elon Musk took ownership. She blamed a confluence of factors such as reactivation of banned accounts. So she said that the site's algorithms amplified Twitter Blue, now X Premium subscribers, for turning the site into an absolute bin fire. Twitter appears to be failing to confront a dark reality that the platform is increasingly being used as a vehicle for disseminating online abuse and hate. Now, this was her, it seems, just getting started. So back in, this was back in 2023. So Julie Inman Grant issued a takedown notice to Twitter X, to the TERF online magazine Redux, and this is because of an article they published about Riley Dennis, one of the original trans SJW YouTubers, who is now living in Australia playing women's football because she married an Australian woman. So, to make this e-safety commission compliant, Riley Dennis is in a lesbian marriage with what I assume is a biological Australian woman. So the headline was thousands of complaints filed after trans YouTuber allowed to play on women's football team reportedly injured players. And Riley Dennis hit Kiralee Smith, the director of Binary Australia, with 2 apprehended violence orders for urging people to complain to Football New South Wales that there's a biological male playing in the women's league. The editor of Redux, Anna Slatz, said that Redux received a notice from the e-safety commissioner advising us to heavily censor or delete an article we had published on April 1. And the article titled revealed that the identity of a transgender male has been the subject of mass complaints after allegedly injuring female players while competing on a women's football team in New South Wales. Correctly identified the player who's been the subject of complaint as trans activist Riley Dennis, and also identified the club Dennis played for as the Inter Lions FC. in addition to demanding we remove or censor the article, the e-safety commissioner advised Twitter that we had broken Australian law. Twitter then informed us the content would be withheld in Australia. After comprehensive analysis of the compelling arguments presented by the e-safety commissioner, including that it was offensive to have called Riley Dennis a man, Redux decided to leave the article up without alteration. And to my knowledge, Anna Slats is still publishing regular content on Redux and was extradited by our e-safety commissioner. And also, just in the past week, did anyone hear about the championship winning team in the New South Wales football competition? Almost half the team is made up of trans women, aka biological males. Now, most recently in the past week, Julie M. Grant has now gone after Billboard Chris. So he's that Canadian father who goes around with a Billboard sandwich board, opposing the trans ideology. And so X ordered that X was ordered by the e-safety commissioner to take down this post by Billboard Chris, a link to a Daily Mail article on February 28 this year, 2024. So kinky secrets of UN trans expert revealed: bondage, bestiality, and drugs. This woman, yes, she's female, is part of a panel of 20 experts hired by the WHO to draft their policy on caring for trans people. People who belong in psychiatric wards are writing the guidelines for people who belong in psychiatric wards. Though, according to the e-safety commissioner, they concluded, after taking into account all of the circumstances, I have reached the view that an ordinary reasonable person would conclude that it is likely that the material intended to cause serious harm to the complainant, so someone's complained. This is because the material misgenders the complainant and reiterates that this point is deliberate, which makes likely intent to invalidate and mock the complainant's gender identity. The material also contains a statement that implicitly equates transgender ideology with a psychiatric condition. The statement is deliberately degrading and suggests that all transgender people, in this case the complainant in particular, have something that is wrong about their psychology owing to their gender identity. Well, it's also about the fact that this man, who was born female, is into bondage, bestiality, and drugs. Like, this looks like some sort of SJW parody, but this is a real person. Now, X is going to appeal this ruling by the e-safety commissioner. We'll see how this pans out. Now, the mis and disinformation bill, if it were to pass, doesn't give Julie M. Grant extra power to take down misinformation on social media. That power is instead invested in the Australian Communications and Media Authority. But it seems to me that Julie M. Grant, even though transphobia, it's not illegal in most of Australia, if I'm going to use that term, she takes it upon herself to erase all transphobia from the internet. We can guarantee that she would have been celebrating the Trans Day of Visibility on March the 31st, which is Easter Sunday. Now, what is a International Transgender Day of Visibility? It's one of the countless alphabet days every year. And don't forget, there's also the months as well. Don't forget Pride Month in June. Then there's a separate LGBTQ History Month. So this was founded by transgender activist Rachel Crandair Crocker. in 2009 as a reaction to the lack of LGBTQ recognition of transgender people, citing the frustration that the only well-known transgender-centered day was the Transgender Day of Remembrance, which mourned the murders of transgender people but not acknowledge and celebrate living members of the transgender community. And we had the US President, Joe Biden, declare that, proclaim that Transgender Day of Visibility on March the 33rd. He said, "I'm proud of my administration has stood for justice from the start, working to ensure that LGBTQ plus community can live openly, in safety, with dignity and respect. I am proud to have appointed transgender leaders to my administration, such as Admiral Rachel Levine, and have ended the ban on transgender Americans serving openly on military. I'm proud to have signed the historic executive order that strengthens civil rights protections, housing and employment, healthcare, education, the justice system, and more. I'm proud to have signed the Respect for Marriage Act into law, ensuring that every American can marry the person that they love. Transgender Americans are part of the fabric of our nation, whether serving their communities in the military, raising families, or running business. They help America thrive. They're entitled to the same rights and freedoms as every other American, including the fundamental freedom to be their true selves. But extremists are proposing hundreds of hateful bills that target and terrify transgender kids and their families, silencing teachers, banning books, and even threatening parents, doctors, nurses with prison for helping parents get care for their children. These bills attack the most basic American freedom, the freedom to be yourself. And Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden, when she addressed the Human Rights Campaign, which is an LGBT activist organization, that this banning of LGBT books, this is what happened in Weimar, Germany, and the Biden administration, they are determined to protect what they believe that they're fostering Weimar America.
History teaches us that democracies don't disappear overnight. They disappear slowly, subtly, silently. A book ban, a court decision, a don't say gay law. Before World War II, I'm told, Berlin was the center of LGBTQ culture in Europe. One group of people loses their rights, and then another, and then another. Until one morning you wake up and you no longer live in a democracy.
See, a Nazi America could be just around the corner, according to Jill Biden's logic there. Now, according to conservative activists, Ashley Sinclair, I should do conservative in quotation marks. Apparently, this is no big deal because Joe Biden has issued proclamation for it on 2021, 2022, and 2023. Nobody did anything to anger Christians Easter Sunday, and everybody's saying this should never be taken seriously now or ever. And Brian Cranstein praised her, saying, "Thank you for having a voice of reason. There are plenty of things to question in regards to the transgender debate. This isn't one of them. Lots of anti-Semites revealing themselves. I grew up in the Christian church. My father is Christians. These people out of their minds." Hang on now. So opposing, according to Ashley Sinclair, opposing the Biden proclaiming a Transgender Remembrance Day on Easter Sunday, coupled with the fact that religious eggs were banned from the White House annual Easter hunt, like as these two things together. So according to Ashley St. Clair logic, you have to be you're anti-Semitic if you believe that the Biden administration was attacking Christians on Easter Sunday. Remember, Biden says he's a Catholic. So does Ashley St. Clair agree then with Jill Biden that we could be on the road to Nazi America? Now, this Breitbart article says damage control now. Biden wishes Christians a happy Easter. And so I said, Jill and I send our warmest wishes to Christians around the world celebrating the power and hope, the promise of Christ's resurrection this Sunday. And the speaker, Mike Johnson, said Biden White House betrayed the central tenet of Easter, which is the resurrection of Jesus Christ, banning sacred truth and tradition while at the same time proclaiming Easter as Transgender Day is outrageous and abhorrent. The American people are taking note. So clear Biden is doubling down on the ultra progressive agenda. He said during his State of the Union, transgender Americans, I have your back. And our foreign minister, Penny Wong, who also says that she's a Christian, just got married recently to her lesbian partner. The Albanese government stands with trans and gender diverse people across Australia. On this a Transgender Day of Visibility, we celebrate your strength and your courage, and we recommit to advocating for trans and gender diverse rights in the pursuit of equality. Sadiq Khan in London put up the updated LGBTQ flag, and then also you had UK Labour, the future government, say today on Trans Day of Visibility and always Labour stands with the trans people. And remember, they're promising new trans hate laws if they elected into power. Oh, well, they will be elected to power at the upcoming UK general election later this year. Now, keeping on the trans issue for a little while longer, the ABC they put in a clarification and correction to Kelly J. Keane. It said on 27th of March 2023, the ABC broadcast a 7:30 interview with Victorian opposition leader John Pesciuto. That interview referred to the organizer of the Let Women Speak event held in Melbourne earlier that month and included a social media post by Posey Parker. Some viewers may have understood the interview to suggest that Kelly J. Keane, who was not named in the interview or organised the Melbourne Let Women Speak event, has association with neo-Nazis. The ABC understands Ms. Keane denies any associations with neo-Nazis, and the ABC does not endorse any imputation that may have been conveyed to the effect. John Pesciuto, the Victorian Liberal opposition leader, is still opposition leader because he's still got the numbers. He's being sued by not just Moira Deeming now, but Kelly J. Keane and Angie Jones for claiming that they had associated with neo-Nazis, Thomas Sowell and the National Socialist Network, I think. Although, what is that? John Pesciuto, the information that he relied on in his dossier that Kelly J. Keane had appeared on a podcast, which has also interviewed David Duke and Mark Collett as well. So 6 degrees of guilt by association. But basically was it eventually got her expelled from the Liberal Party room. The main justification was that she had brought the party in disrepute because Thomas Sowell and the National Socialist Network turned up. But he's not backing down, John Pesciuto. So the defamation trial is going to be in September this year. Now, moving on to, well, we had, obviously, we had Trans Day visibility get even more visible, but well, the actual Easter itself, it's a lot of people are now allergic to saying Easter. So there was Cadbury in the UK, because it's a UK company. They called some of their eggs gesture eggs, and now and for a number of years in Australia, they've branded their Easter eggs as hunting eggs. Has anyone noticed that? I think it was noticed in the UK gesture eggs because it just sounded so absurd. There is over in New Zealand, Brian Tamaki, who is the leader of the Evangelical Destiny Church and also as the leader of the Freedoms New Zealand political party, is on an absolute absolute blitz in getting drag queen story times cancelled across the country. The members of his church are targeting all of these council libraries that are putting on drag queen story times and getting them cancelled. The Free Speech Union of New Zealand is very upset about this. They say that this is anti-free speech because, well, the children are there with their parents' permission, so it's okay. Also, so would it be okay to get strippers to read to children, or burlesque performers? Now, one council that still went ahead with their drag queen story time was Gisborne, and in an act of vigilantism, members of Brian Tamaki's church, several of them were arrested for painting over its rainbow crossing, which most people would think pedestrian crossings, the zebra crossings, like if it's not a zebra crossing, then wouldn't it be dangerous for both pedestrians and traffic, not knowing whether it was a crossing or not? So this was, of course, even though they've been caught absolutely don't know really how to respond, the radical queer left in New Zealand, they have turned up to defend the drag queen story time and the rainbow crossing. So this was, I believe, last Tuesday.
Kia ora, coming live from Gisborne Tairāwhiti. I'm coming as a mother, I'm coming as a grandmother. We've got fathers and grandfathers here today, and we as the citizens, residents of Gisborne Tairāwhiti, have had enough of the sexualisation of our children. We are making a stand today. As you can see, our main street is lit up like a rainbow, and let you know that the rainbow actually comes from God. So we are painting, we are not tolerating this. We have these sex workers coming in tomorrow, and they are 18 adult entertainers, and they will be at our library talking to our kids. Well, as a mother, you can hear I'm passionate about this. These men are passionate about it. We've blocked the roads, we've blocked all the roads because we are not going to tolerate this anymore. So we are making a stand. We are taking back what the citizens of Gisborne are saying. We are calling out the mayor's Riot Stoltz. We are calling you out, and every councillor that has agreed to have these people coming in here reading to our children. We're saying not on our watch. So we gave them till 5 o'clock to cancel, so we mean business. But we are going to be outside the library tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be outside the library from 2 p.m. and we will make a big song, and we are going to make a big noise.
We've had enough. Our mayor won't listen to us, our councillors won't listen. So yeah, sometimes you've got to do things for people to listen, eh? We don't want these transgender rainbow coming in to teach our children. We are parents. They don't need to be taught. Yes. So enough is enough. That's it.
So this is us. Here's our team. We are not ashamed. Thank you. Back at you. Going to headquarters, Destiny Church, Gisborne.
Now that's pretty epic. I mean, we did have, I think it was a rainbow entry to, was it as a church or something that was painted over back in Sydney's World Pride. But the local police there arrested several members of the church who painted over that rainbow crossing. Then the council the next day, they fast tracked the repainting of the rainbow crossing, and then had police guarding it. Never mind that there was 2 people murdered in Gisborne gang warfare in the past week. That's apparently too much for the Gisborne police to deal with. But it was early Saturday morning, the rainbow crossing in Auckland was painted over by 3 people, and a manhunt is underway for because this is a hate crime. I didn't know that roads could be victims of hate crimes. So yeah, Brian Tamaki, he is just kicking goals. He also went to prison during the Auckland lockdown for leading protests. He is because it's an evangelical church, it is pro-Zionist, and so they have held pro-Israel rallies and had confrontations with the pro-Palestinian protesters, which I'm sure some viewers will disagree with that aspect of their theology. But I'm sure we're all in agreement that, I mean, it seems that Brian Tamaki and Destiny Church Freedom New Zealand, the political party, they are the most effective at cancelling this, getting rid of these rainbow these drag queen story times, these rainbow events. They have vowed to basically get rid of all these groomer events, rainbows from council property. Hopefully I can get Brian Tamaki as a guest on Wilms Front. That would be. He was recently on Dewey Du Bois, the dialogue on Reality Check Radio. As you know, I have a weekly segment every Tuesday morning on Reality Check Radio's breakfast program with Paul Brennan. So I encourage you to follow Brian Tamaki on Twitter. So he's called this "We are fighting for the soul of New Zealand: drag queens, militant trans radicals." Now, the one on the right, the shirtless, long-haired Indian, is Chenille Lal, who led the mob that encircled Kelly J. Keane in Auckland last year, where the Let Women Speak couldn't take place. He is now working for a Labor MP, Chenille Lal. So he and Chris Hipkins, the ex-prime minister, now opposition leader, defended his party hiring him as a executive assistant research officer. You sort of get because Chenille Lal, his Instagram is just full of slutty photos. He's a self-confessed slut. I wonder if you sort of get the feeling he might do something similar to that Democrat staffer who was fired for having gay anal sex in the Senate, Aidan Massey Seposky. Was working for Maryland Senator Ben Cardin. He was fired. The Capitol Police investigated and said that no crime, they concluded no crime had been committed. He was uncooperative. That Aidan Massey Seposky, he was a serious deviant. I mean, the reason he was caught because he had a Twitter X alt where he uploaded sex videos. There was another one that got leaked of him. It wasn't in the Senate, but just him. You probably don't want me to Probably don't want me to describe it, but yes. I don't think any of us would be surprised if Shanil Lal was to desecrate the New Zealand Parliament in that way. Now, moving on to UK news, and well, it's April Fool's Day, also in the UK. But what is no laughing matter is up in Scotland, the Hate Crimes Act comes into effect. Hamza Yusuf, the first Minister of Scotland, unelected, was selected by the members of the Scottish National Party. He made that infamous rant against there was too many white people in Scottish positions of power. So in this hate speech act, which covers in the private home as well. So somebody can dob you in for something you say in your private home. Like even in Australia, you can still do a Nazi salute in the privacy of your own home. According to the aggravation of offence by prejudice. I'll bring it up here on the screen here for you all to look at, because this is, well, given that hate speech, increased hate speech legislation is all the rage, even here in Australia, because now the Liberals and Nationals are anti-free speech in the name of protecting Jews mainly. So an offence of aggregated by prejudice is committed where there's a specific victim of the offence at the time of committing the offence or immediately before doing so. The offender demonstrates malice and ill will towards the victim. The malice and ill will is based on the victim's membership of presumed membership of a group defined by reference to characteristics mentioned in subsection 2. Whether or not there is a specific victim of the offence is motivated wholly or partly by malice and ill will towards a group of persons based on the group being defined by reference to a characteristic mentioned in subsection 2. So age, disability, race, colour, nationality, including citizenship or ethnic or national origins, religion, or in case of a social cultural group, perceived religious affiliation, sexual orientation, transgender ideology, variations in sex characteristics. Now, gender wasn't included because that would affect the third wave feminists' ability to be misandrists and say things against men. But it means that men can say misogynistic things against women, and it's not covered by Scotland's hate speech laws. So you can say things. It's not covered under these hate speech laws to say to a woman, "Shut up and make me a sandwich," which is a common meme there. Brucey says, "All of my thoughts and beliefs are illegal." Well, we still have, despite it's very clear who these hate speech laws are aimed at. They're aimed at prosecuting white people, Indigenous Brits. The establishment conservatives and even Tommy Robinson, they still believe that these pro-Palestine marches, which they term hate marches, should be shut down, which that would send a very dangerous precedent that any rally which is deemed to be hateful could be shut down, including patriotic rallies, just proud to be British. There are apparently some UK Labour candidates who didn't like that some of Sir Keir Starmer's Labour election material had the British Union Jack on it. They say it may put off migrants who the Union Jack they associate with racism because it's used by the far right. But the latest outrage from the establishment right is that a border guard decided to lay down the law to these two Israelis who were entering the UK to speak in Manchester. They were survivors of the Desert Music Festival massacre. Now, obviously, all conservatives should be for strong national borders. You want to do the checks so that you know who's coming to this country, especially from a war zone. But according to Nigel Farage, this was appalling that this border guard laid down the law.
The checks we need to conduct, okay? Nobody's saying that. Nobody has said that once. So knock the attitude off. We've made the decision and you're coming in. So just let us do the checks we need to do and keep quiet. Look at me. Okay, you clear with that? Good. We're the bosses, not you. All right?
So that was a 20-second clip. We don't know what was the full exchange, but that's enough for journalist Douglas Murray to say that he wanted to take legal action on behalf of these so-called victims of this border guard. This is utterly disgraceful. If James Cleverly doesn't find out how did this, I will take legal action myself. How dare UK border guards treat victims of terror worse than they treat Hamas operatives and sympathizers come through their gates every day. Well, they're not actually in charge of the UK border guards it's the government that sets who's allowed into the country. But if you've ever watched these border security shows, like there's always these people making who are making a scene, threatening the border guards. So it's like they put up with these entitled and also dodgy people all the time. So they're used to. And he said, and you hear him saying nobody's saying that. So clearly they're accusing him of something, which he said, I've never said that. So just let us do our checks. He wasn't saying I'm not going to let you in. Yes, Douglas Murray is touring Australia at the moment. He said that, Australia's, he said that Australia, it's always accused of being a racist country. It's one of the least racist countries. He is one of the Western exceptionalists like Konstantin Kisin that the reason that they all want to get to Western nations is because of our liberal democracy and freedom, and then they turn it around. They're all neocons as well. The intellectual dark web pro Westerners, it's just a new. They're just new wave neocons. I mean, because they say we need to fight this civilizational war in Ukraine and Israel. There are calls for fresh elections in Israel. Netanyahu has just had a hernia operation. There are protests by Israelis against him and his government because they haven't got the hostages back. And obviously IDF boys are dying. I guess they're all anti-Semites then. And Ukraine's election has been cancelled because they're in a state of war. So that is the latest that is happening from those war zones there. Netanyahu is still wanting to go into Rafah to supposedly finish off Hamas. Though, of course, you can't kill an ideology. Yeah, you can certainly kill people. And we had over in the United States, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, sign an executive order to fight the increased acts of anti-Semitism at Texas colleges and university. Texas stands with Jewish students. We will ensure our college campuses are a safe space for the Jewish community. Now, one high-profile objector all of a sudden conservative Republican governors are in favor of college safe spaces. Matt Walsh over at the Daily Wire, he tweeted, that there should not be any laws forbidding any kind of rhetoric on college campuses. There especially shouldn't be laws to ensure that college campuses are safe spaces. Haven't we now spent like the last 10 years complaining about the safe space mentality? Now the governor of Texas is passing a law to enforce it. Now, it seems, because obviously Matt Walsh is highly intelligent, this seems to be a rebuke of his Daily Wire colleague, Andrew Clavin, who not long after Candace parted ways with the Daily Wire, Andrew Clavin, of course, I played it last week, said that it's anti-Semitic to say Christ is king. And Jeremy Borang, well, backed him up to say that it's anti-Semitic in certain circumstances, just like Muslims saying Allah Akbar is when they commit terror attacks. They as far as I know, in an anti-Semitic violent attack, I don't think it started with Christ is king. So it depends on who's saying it. So obviously, if somebody says Christ is king, you dirty Jews, then clearly there's an anti-Semitic intent to it. But the implication is that any groyper, Nick Fuentes, who says Christ is king, and now Candace Owens is called anti-Semitic for saying Christ is king. That's actually what Ben Shapiro, the first beef with Candace happened. And Matt Walsh on his latest show also said that, well, he rebuked that Rabbi Barclay, that the evolution of anti-Semitism doesn't evolve like he said, that it can just change. He said there's only one definition.
Because in reality, to be anti-Semitic is to hate Jewish people because they are Jews. That's what anti-Semitism is. Everything that is not that is not anti-Semitism. You could say a lot of other things about Jewish people, that you could make a lot of other statements that are incorrect. You could even say things that are offensive. But unless they express that you hate Jewish people for being Jews, they're not anti-Semitic. Just like being racist against a particular race means that you hate the members of that race because they are members of that race. And again, you could say a lot of other things about people of a certain race that maybe are incorrect. You could even engage in stereotypes. You could say you could have misapprehensions. You could have misunderstandings. You could say a lot of things. But unless you're expressing that you hate these people because they're members of that race, it is not racist. Now, I realize this is the narrowest, most limited definition of these terms, and it's also the only coherent and clearly delineated definition. If you expand it beyond these boundaries, you will quickly find that now there are no real boundaries and anything can be included.
Palo Conservative Australian says Matt is going to get fired soon. Well, Matt, like Candace, doesn't need the Daily Wire. I would say that Andrew Clavin and Michael Knowles do. They couldn't make it out on their own. I mean, Andrew Clavin was the first other host hired at the Daily Wire, so it wouldn't be the Ben Shapiro Wire. And Andrew Clavin, like, nobody ever really heard of him until he started doing shows with the Daily Wire. Same with Michael Knowles as well. But Matt Walsh, he's got a following on his own. Obviously, the What is a Woman documentary was produced by the Daily Wire, but he has addressed the rallies against child mutilation, saying it's the hill I'm going to die on. He could easily make it out on his own, like Candace Owens will. She will be absolutely fine with her new venture. And the Daily Wire, it's and I'm going to get into the disintegration of Conservative Inc. With obviously the next escalation of the Crowder versus Crowder divorce case. It seems to me that there's way too much money in Con Inc. I mean, remember, so the Daily Wire, this Crowder versus Crowder, the reemergence of it has been excellent for them because it's provided a distraction from their own internal issues. Now, the Daily Wire has been after Stephen Crowder since last year, after he secretly recorded Jeremy Borang putting out the terms of a Daily Wire contract with Stephen Crowder because he was looking for a new job after ending with the Blaze. And we know that because he said that the contract was restrictive because his salary would be cut if he was demonetized from YouTube. Jeremy Borang said, like, this is standard, like it's still against cancel culture, but if like host isn't making as much revenue, then obviously they're not going to be paid as much. And obviously we now know that Stephen Crowder, he was after a lot of people said the reason that he leaked it and that he rejected the Daily Wire offer is because he wanted more, obviously, to pay for his pending divorce to Hillary Crowder. He is now it was soon to be ex-wife. Pale Conservative Australian Daily Wire has a budget of $250 million a year, and yeah, this is the thing. Like, obviously, Ben, he wanted to build along with Jeremy Borang, build a conservative empire, a media empire to their liking. And obviously, they brought in other people to say, look, it's not just Ben Shapiro, it's all these other people. And obviously, Candace Owens was one of their star recruits because she was a woman of color. Before that, it was a white sausage fest with Ben Shapiro, Andrew Clavin, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles. And so, this is the leader of the Blexit movement. They poached her from PragerU. And this always happens in big organizations. There's always tensions, differences. And obviously, Ben, the existence of Israel, America's support for Israel is, important to him. He says that America being pro-Israel, what is it? It means that he has he said Israel needs Israel as like an escape option. That's what he basically said. I know that PragerU is also Jewish as well, but Candace, she was allowed on a PragerU, Candace Owens podcast to interview Paul Joseph Watson, which, I mean, I don't remember him being on any of the Daily Wire shows. Kanye West Ye was banned from being interviewed on Candace's show on the Daily Wire to explain his DEFCON against the Jews comment, and also, maybe to explain that Alex Jones interview. As that Pale Conservative Australian says, Paul Joseph Watson has started to notice. Did anyone see, because Paul Joseph Watson, even though he has his modernity .news website, is still part of InfoWars. Alex Jones had his debate with what he called the butt plug Rabbi Shmuley. He's still going after the Daily Wire because Jeremy Borang called him an attention whore, and he says he's calling Jews whores. He throws out not just anti-Semitism as an attack or insult to shut people down, but also blood libel. That's another favorite of his as well. So where was I at here? So yes, now with these big conservative Inc. media companies, when an employee parts ways, they sign at the very least a non-disclosure agreement, and there's also can be a non-disparagement clause and a non-compete clause. In my opinion, they should be invalid non-compete clause. I mean, once you're not working for somebody, you should be free to work for anyone you want. And this is the other aspect of the Crowder versus Crowder, that Jared Munro not Gay Jared is trying to get out of his NDA from Louder with Crowder, saying it's too restrictive, won't even allow him to make money as a comic. Louder with Crowder company have said he voluntarily signed it and is supporting Hillary Crowder, arguing that Stephen should not be allowed to be with his around his children. And Candace Owens, she was one of the original Daily Wire attack dogs against Stephen Crowder, calling him a monster when that Ring vision was released of him arguing with his wife Hillary when she was pregnant with their twins, saying, "You're not taking the car. You refuse to do wifey things." She concluded he was a monster. Now, all the other Ring footage has been deleted by, well, we're told by Hillary Clouther. That's the only one that made it out into the media, the one that made him look like the biggest arsehole husband against his pregnant wife. And she's actually wanting Hillary Crowder to come on her new show when it launches. I think I have got it. Have I got it here? Yes, I've got it here. This is her. This is Candace retweeting the Jared Munro video. Everything Jared Munro is saying is true, and he is one of many people that has been enduring this legal abuse for years. Crowder's ex-wife and family and virtually all of his former employees, including Dave Landau, should simply find the courage to speak out. And it then says, "I want to have Hillary Clouther on my new show, going to reach out to see if I can get her." Now, Pearl Davis, who's been, well, her most famous belief is repeal the 19th, women shouldn't vote. Now, Pearl is flawed herself. I mean, she has said things that are contradictory, but she has taken Crowder's side because it's clearly this is a toxic divorce, and the legal documents that have been leaked. I mean, it's clear that Hillary Clouther, she's trying to get extort a bigger settlement. That is why Stephen Crowder has sued her separately. She's getting 25 grand a month in. Well, it's not child support because she's going to get $2,500 maximum in Texas. That's from the Crowder estate. He's paying. Well, the Lady Crowder is marital property, so she's getting the divorce lawyers paid from the estate, but she is having to pay for her own lawyers out of their apparent pittance of $25,000 per month to fight his extortion lawsuit. So as you can see, it's very messy. And all of these trad thoughts, such as Sydney Watson, Lauren Southern, Ashley St. Clair, who I put up her tweet before defending Biden, it seems, Trans Visibility Day. Now, these trad thoughts, they got their big break basically because they were women on the right. They were attractive, but when things didn't go right for them, either professionally or personally, they played the feminist card. And we obviously saw Lauren Southern's divorce video basically say, "Oh, I was wrong to advocate for the trad lifestyle because I hadn't lived it. Now I'm much more enlightened." Remember when she said she was a centrist for a while? We've only heard her version of the events, Lauren Southern. We probably won't hear her ex-husband's because he has a security clearance. And so Pearl said to Candace, "I've digressed here. I would really urge you to reconsider making their divorce a spectacle. Most of these cases have gag order so that men cannot talk about what goes on, and the women often engage in reputational destruction in order to alienate children from the father and get more time." And Candace replies, "You literally reported on exclusive information from his divorce last year. You just chose the wrong side. The only chance his wife and kids have is if his legal abuses are exposed. This isn't male versus female. His male employees have similarly been abused by him. Now, Crowder was defended by one of his, well, his latest sidekick on his show. I cannot remember his name, but clearly this is, like I said, it is it's a very toxic marriage breakup. But the it's clear that the trad thoughts have taken a side because, well, they clearly Hillary Clouther is using their strategy and Lauren Southern said that she released a video she's with some new media outlet now. I can't remember what it is, but basically don't you want she gave up her career for Stephen Crowder to be a trad wife. Isn't that what you want? Surely she's entitled to something in divorce. But Pearl said, what? Because Stephen Crowder's got a successful career, she should get a greater slice. If he was poor, then there wouldn't be much for her to get a slice of. And she wasn't a trad wife. She was working for his company. And Lauren Southern basically implied he made Hillary Clouther quit her job. Obviously, at the time, she would have wanted to work for the company Louder with Crowder. Lauren Southern's 30-minute video, she made it sound like he's like, Louder with Crowder is like News Corp. He's like Rupert Murdoch that's got infinite funds to launch lawfare and media strategy and attack even though he's hardly ever mentioned the divorce on the show, basically just covered everyday news. And it's Hillary Clouther that's hired a PR firm, and she's writing a book, How Stephen Crowder Changed My Mind. So she's certainly engaging in lawfare. Southern is a complete traitor. And Lauren Southern in a video basically said, that if you haven't been to family court like me or tried to undertake legal action, you don't know what you're talking about, so shut up. And I've read all the documents. Well, my assistant has. And then the end says, there's lots of we don't know. So, well, then why were you commenting if you said there's a lot that that we don't know? But clearly you're taking a side. So that's the other Conservative Inc. Disintegration that is going on. But back to Ben Shapiro, when he appeared on Piers Morgan's program, he refused to comment on Candace Owens' departure. But when he went to his new best friend, Dave Rubin, to have a cry on the Rubin report, because they are best buddies, because Rubin's a neocon as well. He doesn't seem to like Charlie Kirk anymore, Ben Shapiro, because Charlie Kirk has been making pro-white statements and also saying that Jews and Israelis, through certain conduct, are opening themselves up to criticism. And so Candace Owens retweeted Glenn Greenwald's him destroying Ben Shapiro on his system update show on Rumble. These people, if I'm being totally honest, they make me sick. They cannot think in any form of principle whatsoever. And Candace Owens says, "Bed, we agreed not to talk about this, but you are very much going on public tour right now, pretending not to talk about it while you are very much talking about it. Would you like me to do the same?" And so she's basically saying that, do you want me to break my non-disclosure agreement? Because Ben Shapiro gave $500 to Jared Munro's legal fund. And so if he then turned around and sued Candace Owens for breaking her NDA, it would look like the biggest hypocrite there. So this has got a long way to go. And obviously Candace Owens, she is not not perfect either. She is contradictory. I know that Milk Bar TV channel has been going after her repeatedly for her support of the Tate brothers, despite her advocating for conservative family values. Now, of course, Conservative Inc., it's nothing compared to pedo would. And we have seen exposed through the Quiet on Set documentary on Investigation Discovery, which is not yet available in Australia, that Pedalodian, there was a there has been a doco series by former Nickelodeon child star Drake Bell, who was molested by one of the Nickelodeon actors, dialogue coaches, director, and producer Brian Peck. Molested, sodomized him when he was 15, sentenced to 16 months in prison. Now, Drake Bell's father, he tried to raise the alarm about the inappropriateness that Brian Peck was around his teenage son, and this is what Drake Bell's father was told about why he shouldn't complain about Brian Peck.
So I went to production and said, you know, I really am very uncomfortable with this guy, Brian Peck, always being around my son. I go, I don't see anything abnormal, but it just doesn't, I don't have a good feeling. And she goes, oh, well, I don't know if you knew it or not, but he's gay. Maybe you're just homophobic and you just don't understand that he's a touchy-feely guy. So I said, okay. And then it just kept not setting well with me. So I told people on the set, and I was ostracized.
So Drake Bell's father was homophobic for being uncomfortable with a gay man being touchy-feely around his teenage son. Brian Peck, so the show that they were on was the Amanda Show, and I'll go back to this graphic here of the Nickelodeon logo. Looks like Epstein Island there. Coincidence? Some people think not. Now, there's also some people believe that Leonardo DiCaprio was a victim of Brian Peck. So he worked on Brian Peck, the show Growing Pains, where in the final season, Leonardo DiCaprio was a cast member when he was a teenager. And this is footage of Brian Peck, basically being touchy-feeling with a teenage Leonardo.
Drawings.
Show us the little drawings.
Oh, you see, we draw drawings of each other. Brian is the famous artist, and we always make fun of each other and portray each other in silly, satirical ways.
Leo's job on this set, for some reason, is to make fun of me all day long.
Okay, so here we have Robert De Niro.
Leo, as you know, is the latest, hottest, hunkiest teen idol there is.
Yeah, muscles.
Look, speaking of hunky, huh?
Leo, what's it like to be a teen idol?
Ask her Cameron. I don't. Well, I see my pictures there, and it's fun seeing those, and I haven't really got the full impact of it yet, so.
I mean, look how creepy that is. You can see, and this is what you wouldn't it's not correct to call Brian Peck a pedophile. He's a child molester. The correct term is probably ebophile, which is a attraction to teenage boys or teenage children. But yeah, we are right to call that child molestation because that is what he did. And even after he served his 16-month in prison sentence, he was hired by Disney to work on the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Remember those two twin boys who, I'm not sure if you remember that show, but they were like 12, 13 at the time. But he was fired when they found out of his child molestation conviction, and they re-recorded his lines. But the fact that background checks weren't in place in the early 2000s, I mean, seriously, that is really Yeah, that is really alarming. And there's been a lot of homosexual child molesters in Hollywood, pedophiles, ebophiles, hebophiles, whatever the classification is, they're all child molesters. Like when there's been a male child star who's committed suicide, been on drugs, you can guarantee that they were molested. So, I mean, it's good that this is coming out into light now. So this documentary will be coming to Australia, and then there is the P Diddy indictment for sex trafficking, and it seems that in rap music, I mean, we saw it's mainly been known for gang violence, but now it seems sex trafficking as well, because obviously R. Kelly, well, he got away with it for years until he was convicted. Now it's P. Diddy's turn, and this meme basically sums it up here. Have I got it? Got it here? I don't think I have, but it basically goes Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, P Daddy, and then has pedophile. So yes, Pedo Wood is basically it's basically there's still a lot more to come out, and the law is way behind. Dawn Browning says River Phoenix. Should I Google their name? Is that I'll just Google that now. So River Phoenix was an American actor and musician known as a teen actor before and died at 23 years of old. And so he died from consuming drugs. What were some of the things he starred in? But yeah, that sounds like a homosexual or a molestation victim by Hollywood pedophiles, ebophiles, whatever it's called. So I haven't got time to look into all of the Hollywood's child molestation crimes tonight, but just thought that this is important to keep mentioning, because remember, Hollywood constantly virtue signals to us when they are the biggest abusers themselves. So thank you everyone for watching tonight. And I'll let you know if there's a Wilms Front next Sunday, which would be on the Wilms Front channels at 9 p.m. Sundays. Remember, if you're on the Eastern and Central daylight savings times, you need to put your clocks forward by an hour. So, wait, no, back by an hour. So we gain an extra hour. Is how it works. Yes. Gain an extra hour at the end of daylight savings. So I'll be coming to you Australian Eastern Standard Time next week. We'll finally be aligned with Queensland. So I will definitely see you Sunday or Monday at 9 p.m. Make sure to give a comment, like, thumbs up, because it all helps with the algorithm. Even if you watched live, make sure that you comment down below just to help with everything. Now, remember, the Unshackled Productions archive over at the Unshackled Substack, the Unshackled Substack.com. I will put the link into the live chat here, and you can take out a subscription at the unshackled.substack.com/subscribe. So annual $50 per month, annual $50 per year, $5 per month, or become a founding member, $500 per year. There is also the Unshackled membership. So have bronze $5 per month, silver $10 per month, gold $25 per month, platinum $50 per month, or you can also pay yearly for those as well. There'll be a new report from Richard Wollstonecroft from Tiger Mountain later this week. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane, and stay uncensored, like real uncensored, not the fake Piers Morgan uncensored. Be unshackled, I should say. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.